I'm Paul Kedrosky. I'm a senior fellow at the Kauffman Foundation. One of my sort of main driving ideas for most entrepreneurs is that the best ones are the people who scratch their own itch. Craig with Craigslist was trying to create something to allow him to buy and sell things. Right? Mark Zuckerberg was trying to answer a question about whether or not, I think it was originally some women he knew were actually attached. I mean, so they were trying to answer questions, right? They're trying to scratch their own itch. It wasn't a banker saying, here's a nascent market opportunity that I can fill. No, it was none of these things. It was people who were irritated at the world because the world wouldn't provide them something that they needed. They said, oh, the hell with it. I'm going to have to go out and do it because no one else will. And that's a remarkable and powerful thing, because being an entrepreneur is a frustrating and time-consuming activity that can be so difficult and yet so rewarding. But to get to the rewarding part, you've got to tough it out through all this other stuff. And to tough it out, it better be your vision. Because if you're doing something because someone told you it was a good idea or you read about it in a franchise magazine, on those dark nights when you're wondering how you're going to meet payroll, you say, you know what, I don't know why I'm doing this. One of the things you see that's really unusual about most people who will go out is this degree of itchiness and impatience, that they just can't wait for someone else to do it. And not only that they can't wait, but they're not even that sure that if someone else does it, they'll do it the way that they wanted it done. Right? So it's this kind of monomaniacal need to satisfy themselves, crossed with impatience, crossed with, this thing has to happen. And lots of us have things about the world that bothers me. I'm never going to do anything about it, but it bothers me, right? You got to also have that crossed with this impatience. It has to happen sooner than later. And it also has to be the way that I want it to happen. And you put all those three pieces together, and you've got yourself, Craig with Craigslist, you've got yourself a Zuckerberg, and you've got yourself a Steve Jobs, because these are the people who have the confluence of those three things. It's not enough to have just any one, because you might stand around and just complain. Right? Or if you're impatient, you might just stand around and say, I'll just keep reading until I find out when the thing gets shipped. Maybe someone will ship it. Or if you just have the monomania, where it has to be my own way, you just sort of barking orders at the world, right? Saying, do it my way, do it, no one's paying any attention to you. So you got to have all those pieces. And so what all of those people had in common was enough of a background as a consumer of media and a producer of media that they could say, here's what I want. I want this. And they didn't have to articulate it out to what it would look like today. It's just in the next 2 years, if this did this, I'm happy. And then at the end of 2 years, they say, well, now it needs to do this and this and this, and now it needs to do this and this. And that's all fine. That's all iteration. But at least they had an idea that it has to do this. And if it does these things, that'll be fantastic. And that's the essence of being, a really successful entrepreneur. They were maddened and frustrated at the world, and they scratched their own itch, and it turned out to be an itch that a lot of us had.